Hello fellas, it's me again. Today we're just going to have a quick look at this Genustech Eclipse Variable ND filter. But before we have a closer look, I'm going to show you why you might need one. Now, using digital SLRs for video is quite good. You can get some absolutely fantastic results and you've got a full range of lenses available. But the problem is, when you record at 25 frames per second, to get the motion to look right, you need to have your shutter speed at twice your frame rate. So at 24 frames per second or 25 frames per second, you need to record with a shutter speed of 1/50th of a second. Now that's a problem because if you look outside, it's quite bright and the exposure is horribly overexposed. Now to correct that, I can simply choose the aperture, stop down to f11, f16. So the exposure is bright now, but the problem is with a very small aperture, you get a very large depth of field. So basically everything is in focus, but that's actually quite a good thing if you're videoing a landscape or something like this. But is a problem if you want to do something else. So you might be thinking, big deal, just have a very small aperture, everything's in focus, and you get your exposure right. But I might not want everything in focus. I might want just the subject in focus, and I want everything in the background and the foreground to be out of focus and nicely blurred. Now, how you do that is you use a very large aperture or a low f number, and in photography it's no big deal because you've got your shutter speed to play with. You can have like 1/3000th of a second if it's quite sunny, but in video obviously we're locked to 1/50th of a second, and there's so much light coming in through that large aperture that your exposure is going to be like completely whited out and overexposed. So enter the ND filter, or neutral density filter. I've got some here. I've got an ND2, an ND4 and an ND8. These are designed to reduce the intensity of all the wavelengths so you don't get any weird colours. So I won't go into detail about f-stops and reduction and exposure values, but the higher the ND rating of the filter, the less light it lets through. Now the disadvantage with using ND filters, obviously, if you want a really good one, you have to pay a lot of money. I mean, you're looking at about 30–40 quid each per filter, and if you've got quite a few of them, you've got quite a few lenses which use different size filters, it can get expensive really quick. Obviously these are very cheap ones off eBay, and you do get quite a bit of colour shift with the ND8, but and yeah, obviously if you're swapping and changing these, it's not really the most ideal thing. So enter the variable ND filter. This particular one is a Genustech Eclipse Variable ND, and what this is the box, two polarizers on a disc, and obviously if you see it, if I rotate this, it gets darker. So if I have one of these on my camera, I've got no swapping filters out at all. Let's go see what happens when I put this on the camera. Here's a close-up of the filter itself. It's made out of metal. The filter is actually glass. The reduction ring rotates very smoothly and solidly. The filter thread is nice. It screws into my lens quite nicely and it doesn't want to bind and lock up. And it doesn't reduce the sharpness as far as I can tell. On a wide angle lens it doesn't vignette. But I have noticed, and this is typical with all variable ND filters, on a wide angle lens, if you try and reduce it too far, you will get an uneven X on the screen, which I'll try and demonstrate in a minute. But it's a very well nice bit of kit, this. Better than that cheap one I picked off eBay anyway. So this is a very large aperture, f2.8 with no filter, horribly overexposed. That's with the filter on its lowest setting. This is already a great improvement. Now I just simply rotate the ring, reduce the light, perfect exposure. So now I've got just the subject in focus, everything else is lovely bokeh. I can even close it all the way down if I wish. There we go. Just a twist of the lens. Just going to see if I can demonstrate the X pattern. I've got it wide angle. I'm just going to reduce it all the way. And
should, I can't tell, it's too bright from the screen, but when you use it for photo you can see it. Push it too hard, but that's typical with all variable filters.
In your polarized thing.